For the webinar on Mastering Quantitative Research, a comprehensive overview. To start with, let me give you a brief about QA research and publications. QA serves as a platform to publish research articles in prominent journals and conferences proceedings. We assist authors in publishing the research findings in high impact factor journals, promoting their work, enhancing their reputation, and building a strong scientific profile. Among several indexing databases, Scopus is one of the most preferred for publishing articles. The wide recognition and impact of these journals make them highly valued in their academic career. We have recently collaborated with the Scopus Q1 journal, that is F1000 research published by Taylor and Francis. The authors can now easily submit their articles through a partnered gateway with FN1000. FN1000 Research is an open research publishing platform for scientists, scholars, and clinicians that offers rapid publication of articles and other research outputs without editorial bias. All articles benefits from transparent peer review and editorial guidance and on making all source data openly available. Now, I would like to welcome our speaker, Dr. Kumaran Gangatharan, who is a dynamic and enthusiastic academist currently lecturing at IPGM campus Sultan Abdul Halim Kedah. While pursuing a postdoctoral program at UPSI with a deep interest in fostering creativity and innovation in education, Dr. Kumaran has become a sought after speaker at various national and international events. His expertise encompasses a range of topics from writing and publishing inspiring articles with insights on health, education, sports, entrepreneurship, and leadership to the critical role of innovation in education. Dr. Kumaran shares his knowledge as a speaker and has been recognized as an award winning innovator with multiple awards in national and international innovation competitions. In addition to his speaking engagements, Dr. Kumaran actively contributes to the judging process of innovation competitions, demonstrating his commitment to nurturing the next generation of innovators. His research efforts span various areas, including students' development, educational technology, and health awareness. Once again, welcome you, Doctor. You may start now.
A very good evening. Thank you for our wonderful moderator and our good listeners. So let me introduce myself first, but before that, let me screen share my presentation. Okay, I hope it can be seen. Okay, Sneha, can it be seen? Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, doctor.
Is it moving? It's moving, right?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, so as you all know, as the moderator already introduced, I'm Dr. Kumaran Gangadharan from Institute Pendidikan Guru Campus Sultan Abdul Alim, Sungai Petani Kedah, where we are trained the teachers for our Malaysia, where we train after SPM, we will give them the degree and make them the educators for our nation. So by the day today, I would like to tell and would like to describe with another new session. I think this is third or fourth time I'm with Quvae and to give away my knowledge. So this time it's more, or people would say like normally people will love quantitative. So, but what is our level of understanding or the knowledge of our understanding in quantitative research? So today I would like to tell about mastering quantitative research, a comprehensive overview actually. So our viewers or our listeners might be experts in quantitative or beginners or newbie. So if you guys are expert, take it as a refreshment. If new, it should be a new knowledge for you all. Okay, first of all, so these kind of general types of educational research that is in the quantitative, that is descriptive, where survey, historical, content analysis, qualitative, all will come under descriptive, where we have to describe everything. Today, just due to we are discussing about the quantitative, so we will see the survey. And not only that, associational, it will more to correlation, causal, comparative, and so on. When we talk about the intervention, it's more to experimental, quasi-experiment, action research, and so on. So it's kind of when we talk about descriptive, we can say also the historical content analysis also we can say as a descriptive because the researcher will describe everything what they see or what they analysis in that book or in the document and so on. But when it's come to survey, the total matter is different because it's quantitative. Okay, so this is the type of research methodology for the quantitative, as I already told. But I just give it again also. So for the qualitative, although the content analysis, ethnographics, and like interview and so on, but when they are writing, they will write it more descriptively. And then when we see the quantitative, it's more to experimental, single subject, correlation, causal, comparative, and survey, action research. So normally action research is nowadays quite famous among our practitioners, that is educationers. Okay, so when we see the education quantitative research, so it's more explain about the collection and analysis of numerical data to describe, explain, and predict or control phenomena of interest. So this been said by our, excuse me, Cohen, which sorry, Creswell, which meaning quantitative is more to numerical. We will play with numbers, not the like there is something kind of we are going to describe it, or we will play or we will use the numbers to describe, to explain everything that we already done, or that is we want to do, or the results we got it. So the results we got it actually is in numbering. Okay, not only that, the research operates on the phenomenal brief or assumption that we innovate a reliability, stable, uniform, and coherent world that we can measure, understand, and generalize about. So, this view also adapted from the natural science implies that the world and the law that govern it are somewhat predictable and can be understood by scientific research and examination. So, in this quantitative perspective, it's the claim about the world are not considerable meaningful unless they can be verified through the direct observation. So, what the meaning is, whatever you get it by numbers, you just can't predict. That's the real. That's the real number that will define your, or that can measure your research, that can generalize your sampling, that can make sure the people who are reading, they understand that your research is more to quantitative. Okay, so the quantitative researchers also state the hypothesis to be exempt and specify the research procedure that will be used to carry out the study. They also maintain control over contextual factor that may interfere with the data collection and identify the sample of participant large enough to provide statistics meaningful data. Okay, what they're trying to say is in this quantitative process, the number of sampling is very important to get the numbers, to get the data. So where this will define this research is more to quantitative or qualitative. So when we see what makes the maximum difference between the quantitative and the qualitative is the sampling. Maximum, we can say one of the main factors that will different make it different between the two main research methodology is the sampling. Why? For the qualitative, the sampling can be very minimalized, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. But for the sampling of quantitative, we have to calculate it using Kachi and Morgan because we have to know the population. If we want to do a research among a class, but okay, for example, we want to do like experimental, or we want to do a survey among Form 4 or upper class students that is studying science. But we want to mainly focus on one class. But we have to see the population first. How many students are studying in that standard 4? So when we see, okay, there is 100 people, 100 students who are studying in the standard 4, there will be our population. And then we have to use Kirchi and Morgan sampling, or we also can use power sampling like that to get the sample from the population. So we can get a meaningful statistics data which can define our research as a quantitative process and quantitative research. Excuse me. Is it moving? I'm sorry, it's stuck, I think. I'm sorry, the slide is not moving just now. So let me open again. Okay, so when it's come to sampling, okay, I hope you all can see and hear me back. Okay, so as I told you, the first step is sampling to define the population and we want to generalize the results of the study. Okay, the sample is drawn from the population as I already told you, and the data is collected from the sample, and the sample results reflect the population. We can identify which one is the population by seeing the sampling. Okay, so the number of different strategy can be used to select the sample. So each of the strategy has the strength and weakness. Okay, when we write the paper, we're using one strategy of sampling to get our um, data, but we have to know what kind of sampling which are used. Okay, so there are times when the research results from the sample cannot be applied to the population because the external validity exists with this study. And not only that, the most important aspect of sampling is the sample represent the population. Okay, so there is a lot of type of sampling, and let me explain one by one. So this is the simple random sampling. So each subject in the population has an equal chance of being selected regardless of what subject F or will be selected. So in the simple random sampling, everyone can be a sample. In the population, everyone can be the sample. Not only that, a random number of table or computer program is often employed to generate a list of random numbers to use. So normally we can say can choose the numbers, or we can use the computer's help to get the list of random numbers to use. Not only that, these simple procedures is to place the names from the population, is the add and draw out the numbers of the names one wishes to use for the sample. So it's like very random. We can choose anyone from the population, just pick like that, and can use as a sample. Okay, the next one is stratified random sampling. Okay, this one is a representative number of subjects from various subgroup is randomly selected. Okay, so the subgroups, the subgroup are called strata, and the sample drawn from each strata is proportion to the proportion of the strata in the sample. That means if a population have 100 teachers, the 50 is elementary, 30 is secondary, and 20 is tertiary. Then the sample of 10, 5 should be like from the elementary spectrum, and the 3 from the secondary spectrum, and 2 from the tertiary. So it's like we take 10, 5, 2. So it can be like everyone in that subgroup will take part, but they will choose also. So this is that stratified random sampling. So I'm just go very fast, just go surface because this is a very basic one. So let me explain everything first. Okay, this is a cluster sampling. So in the cluster sampling, intact groups, not individuals, are randomly selected. Any location within which we can find the intact groups of population members with similar characterize is a cluster. Example of clusters are classrooms, schools, city blocks, hospital, and department stores. Like there is more cluster sampling, but these are the examples that we can know lah. So a group of the population members with the similar characterization. For example, if you want to take the teachers, everyone is the teachers. If you want to take a fireman, everyone will be fireman. I'll consider like that, the cluster sampling. And when the cluster sampling being used? Okay, cluster sampling is done when the researcher is unable to obtain a list of members of the population. Okay, it also convenient when the population is very large or spread over a wide geographical area. So we can use it because like teachers, we can see a lot. And not only that, for example, instead of randomly selecting from all fifth grade in a larger city, we can randomly select fifth grade classrooms and include all the students in the classroom. Cluster sampling is usually involve less time and expense and generally more convenient actually. Okay, not only that, we also can use two-stage cluster random sampling. So in this kind of situation, this cluster, as I told the classroom as our example just now, are randomly selected, and then student within those cluster also randomly selected. So I hope you guys understand. Like the cluster we means the classroom, we selected the fifth classroom, and then inside this classroom, the students also, we choose them as the cluster. So this what we say as a two-stage cluster random sample. Okay, and this one is convenient sampling. So subjects are selected because they are easily accessible. This is one of the weakest sampling procedure actually, because what to say like when you have your convenient sampling, sometimes the biasness could happen. So we have to know when to use this convenient sampling, and when to generalize to the population can be seldom be made with this procedure. But we have to very careful the convenient sampling because as I told you, the biasness, and then when it's easy to accessible, and the data could be, not so firm and so on. Okay, purposive sampling. Okay, subjects are selected because of some characterization. For example, experts. This is what we say as experts. So, not only that, when we decided we want to do the survey among the geography teachers, for example, geography teachers who teach Form 5 or who teach the university, we will go only for them. Also refers as a judgment sampling, and this process of selecting sample that believed to be represent of given population. Okay, for example, there might be a lot of history lecturers in IPG, but I mean, there is lot in the department, but we gonna select who have first degree in history. Although that department have lot of that history department have lot of lecturers there, but we will only choose the lecturers which have first degree as their in that history. So this sample selection is based on researchers' knowledge and experience of the group to be sampled using a clear criteria to guide the process. Why? When we are know uh, the people's capability or the credibility or what they have, then we will choose them for purposefully as a purposive sampling for our research, so we can get the data in more accurate way. Okay, this is another one, systematic sampling. So systematic sampling is an easier procedure that random sampling when you have a larger population and the names of the targeted population are available. For example, like a systematic sampling involves selection of every subjects the population to be sampled. Okay, so for example, suppose you have to be list thousand, I mean, um, 10,000 voters in your area, and you wish to sample 4,000 voters for your researchers. So can also we divide the number of population, the 10,000, by the size of the sampling we wish to use, that is 400, and we get the interval we need to use when selecting subject, that is 25. So in order to select the 400 subject, we need to select every 25% on the list. We will have the name, but we have to choose in like that way. So this is another type of systematic sampling also. Okay, so after sampling, so as I told earlier, the quantitative methods is one of the very easiest method. Why? Because it's easy to understand, it's easy to get the data, it's save the time. Normally quantitative saves the time. If we compare to quantitative is more time, you say time, um, time safe actually, time safe, and it's also can be used by most of the researchers because we will more prefer to use quantitative, but it depends on the researcher which kind of what kind of method they want to use. So we already see the sampling. Now we have to see the ethics of research. Okay, when we want to see the ethic of research, because normally quantitative is using data from the big numbers, and we have to generalize it, and it's play with the numbers and so on. But for that quantitative, although these ethics of research we have to use for quantitative, qualitative, whatever, but this is my duty to tell again. Okay, when we want to use the survey form or anything which is related to quantitative, make sure the samples are protected from physical and psychological harm, including loss of dignity, loss of autonomy, and loss of self-esteem. That means we can't force a sample to give the answer according to what we want. We just abuse them. Okay, for example, the students, the teachers doing masters or PhD and a doctorate, and then they want some data, so they will make sure the students give them the data, but they will make sure they get the data, the desired data. They will ask the students, okay, Kala, if you did not put in that in the way that I want, uh, then I will make sure that you face the hell. Yeah, this kind of situation I've been saw last time. Okay, and then protection of privacy and confidentiality. Why? Because sometimes our questionnaire or our survey or our any instrument which involved in the quantitative can be answered by our higher officers and some important persons. So we have to take care, or we have to, do not leak their personal data. We have to take care, they protect their privacy and the confidential. And not only that, protection against unjustified deception. So this was a very important code of ethics. And not only that, the subject must give a voluntary informed consent to participate in the research. Guardian must give consent for minor participant. In the addition to guardian consent, minors over age 7 must also give the consent to participant. Means when you are doing this quantitative research, which using the questionnaire, make sure you get the consent letter from the school, and then you give a letter to the parents which say you want to use their children, their daughter, their son to be the part of your research. So make sure you get the consent letter from the parents. I just said seven, but when you use a primary school, make sure you get the permission first from the parent, because some parents, they won't allow the parents to take part in the research actually without their consent. So and why? You guys can ask, if I want to do the research in the Google form, how am I supposed to get the voluntary informed consent? Can because at the last page of the Google form, which we already have done all the questions, we can put verbally. Or we just said I voluntarily want to can be participate in this survey. They just take it also. Consider we already get their consent. Okay, so this is an informed consent. All the research participants must give their permission to be part of the study, and they must give the pertinent information to make an informed consent to participate. So, as I told, so this is informed consent means like the research participant with everything they need to know about the study to make an informed decision. Like sometimes before the questionnaire of the survey or anything, we just written there what kind of research, what is the title, who is the researcher, and everything. So they will have a confidence to take part in your research. And researcher must obtain the subject's parents, as I told you, the minors, um, before they can take part in the study. And generally, this permission is given in writing. However, there are cases where the research participant completing of the task, such as survey, what to say, as I told you earlier, make sure in whatever way get the permission. If we do the survey in a Google form, in the last page of the Google form, make sure you put a clause there. I voluntarily admitted to take participate in this survey. So you are safe. If you are giving in the end to the students or whatever, make sure you attach another page of written informed consent that you ask for the just sign or just write the name, and they say yeah, I mean yes for the to take part. So it's better to you all, uh, unless no one come and question you, that won't be a problem. But if any parents come and ask you, then it will be a problem. Okay, so we already finished sampling and the code of ethics research, and we come for the best part, that is instrument. Okay, so the instrument is one of the main thing in this quantitative research. Why? So instrument is a generic term that researcher use for a measurement device. Of course, instrument is the measurement device that we use for our research, where it will lead us to the data, and the data with the numerical thing will define that is the quantitative research. So as I told you, the instruments is like survey, test, questionnaire, and a lot also. So these instruments will help us to understand between the instrument and instrumentation. Consider that the instrument is a device and the instrumentation is the cause of action, the process of developing, testing, and using the device. So we must understand what is instrument, what is the instrumentation. So I hope you all understand, because can see like most of you understand what is quantitative and so on. Okay, so sorry, just now it's stuck as usual. I don't know what happened. Sometimes when the line is not so clear, so it's tend to get stuck. Okay, so instruments is fell into two broad categories, which is researcher completed and subject completed, which is um, those instruments that researcher administer versus those are completed by participant. Researcher choose which type of instrument or instrument to use based to the research question. So this is the it's not here actually. Okay, move. Okay, so we can see. So what is researcher completed instrument, which is rating scales, tally sheets, follow charts, performance checklist, time and motion logs, observation forms, and so on. But when it's come to subject completed instrument, it's questionnaire, self checklist, attitude scales, personality inventories, achievement, projective device, sociometric devices. So there is difference between researcher completed instrument and subject completed instrument. When we see the first one, yeah, so we will decide what kind of the rating scale that which we want to use in our survey, in our questionnaire. So we will decide like we want to use five scale of Likert or 4 scales of Likert or 10 scales of Likert, or if you want to use the Fuji Delphi 7 scales of 7 scale of Fuji Delphi scales. But when it's come to subject, they will complete the questionnaire which is given with the rating scales. Okay, we will see the usability of the instruments. Okay, when we see the usability of the instruments, usability mainly refers to the ease with which an instrument can be administered, interpreted by the participant, and scored by the researcher. So, what is usability? So that means the instrument or the survey form or the questionnaire which we given to the participant, and they can understand and they can answer it, and the paper or the questionnaire they already answered and we can interpret it. That is the usability of the instrument. And not only that, like example of usability problem includes student asks for rate a lesson immediately after the classroom, like we also got here the feedback forms, but they are only few minutes before the class begins. Like this is a problem with the administrator. But students are asked for keep the self checklist of their after school activities, but the direction are complicated and the items discrimination are confusing. So this is the problem with interpretation. So we have to understand the usability of the instrument must be or can be interpreted by the researcher and must can be understand by the our samples, our population or the sample. Okay, this part is very important, where we must validate the instruments. Okay, validity is the extent to which an instrument measure what is purpose supposed to measure and perform as it designed to perform. Okay, so to see is it the instrument is 100% valid, and are the numerous statistics and measure to assess the validity of quantitative instrument, which is generally involve the pilot testing and so on. Okay, when we see the external validity, there is two types, external and internal. Okay, so external validity is to extent to which the results of the study can be generalized from a sample to a population, establishing the eternal validity for this instrument depend on the directly of the sampling. Not only that, an instrument that is extremely valid will help to obtain the population generalized or degree to which a sample represent the population. This is what we say as a external validity. Okay, when not okay, external validity, content validity, And we have a language validity also. Actually, I did not put here. We can put language validity. When we see language validity, sometimes we might adopt, we might adapt, we might create the questionnaire. Whatever it is, we still, although we adapt from another questionnaire, we still have to change it. We still have to modify it according to our research objective or research questionnaire, where it must align with our scope of research. So in that term, we might get wrong in our language. So we also can do the language validation, where we will give it our questionnaire to the experts of language, and if we can get it like the opinion, uh, the sentences are coherent, the words are appropriate to the content, everything being written is according to the research or question and so on. So we can ask the experts of language to see, to validate the question as language validation. Okay, and then content validation. Content validation is where we can give the questionnaire to the experts to get the concern about the content which is in the questionnaire. The questionnaire is really aligned. The content which is in the content which in the questionnaire, it's seriously, or it's been made it align with the research question. Is it in between the scope of the research? They will see everything, they will check everything and make sure we gave it to the right content validity. For example, we are doing a questionnaire for mathematics, but we gave that questionnaire to a expert of science. Sometimes they can be happens some wrong decision or some wrong interpretation among the experts, where they, because they are not expert in that field, they are not expert in that content. So it's, we have to be very careful when we want to give the questionnaire or the survey form to a person or to the expert to get their consent validity. So we have to know what kind of study background they have, but what kind of major they have before we give our questionnaire to them to get the consent validity to them. Okay, and not only that, to get this consent validity, to get this language validity, we must get a letter from our university or our organization, or from the research department or anything, and we must give a appointment letter to them. So they will do their job in a very proper way, and we will get a solid questionnaire, a survey form, which we can use it to the next step. So normally we will do the language validation and then content validation. After everything, we got the comments and so on, we just prepare the questionnaire and then we go for the reliability. So when alpha chroma, so this test the reliability is to measure the consistency. So there is 4 type of estimator to gauge the reliability. One is the iterator, one is test retest reliability, parallel forms of reliability, internal consistency reliability. Okay, but this is just for understanding. But the main thing is alpha chroma. When you want to see the alpha chroma, you must get 0.8 and above according to the air. You can follow anyone citations, but I more prefer hair because it's more too easy to understand. So when you get you can get the alpha chroma for each items you've done, or you want to do for one construct, it's also no issue. But make sure you get the reliability. How you want to get the reliability? That's one of the big thing. We have to give it to the our one group of students or one group of sampling minimum for 30%, which say by Creswell 2018. They said 30 is the minimum to get the reliability of a questionnaire before you giving the questionnaire to the real samples to see the consistency of the questionnaire. The very important. This reliability is one of the main thing and one of very important thing in the quantitative methods. So when you left out in this reliability, then your whole research might be have some issues. You can be backfires. So when you give a small group of samples, which they can be teachers, students, anyone which is aligned with your research scope, you give them and get that, and by using SPSS or other softwares which you preferred, and you will get the alpha cromba, and then you can know is your questionnaire is reliable, is your questionnaire is consistent, is your questionnaire is ready to give to the real sample peoples. So this is very important. Okay, so as per from the starting, we already see the sample, we already see the code of ethics, we already see the instruments, validity and reliability. But basically, most of the researchers will do descriptive or a survey in the quantitative methods. So today I will explain the which we say descriptive research or survey research, whatever we will I will explain it. Okay, because we only have another 20 minutes, so I will make sure I explain it well, detail, so you guys can understand. Okay, so as you all can see in the screen, descriptive researches involve the collecting data and test hypotheses or to answer questions about people's opinion on some topic or issue. If, for example, don't take it controversy, yeah? Okay, the taste of McDonald's. Now we can take that as a survey. Okay, so survey is an instrument to collect the data, then describe one or more characteristics of the specific population. Can also. Okay, and then survey data are collected by asking member of a population a set of questions via questionnaire or an interview. But today, we're going to focus on questionnaire only, not interview, because when we talk about interview, it will lead us to qualitative. Okay, descriptive research requires attention to the selection of ethic sample and appropriate instrument. So we have to know who is our population and who we're going to choose as a sample, what kind of sample method we're going to use, and what kind of instrument that we're going to use, and is that instrument is already go through the validation process, reliability process, and we got a reliability number, the alpha cromba in a very high, then only we can give it to the real samplings. Okay, so this is just got it. So step 1 until step 8. So define a problem to research, write a research question and sub question, develop, design and develop the survey question. So when it's come to survey and questionnaire, as I told you earlier, we can use 3 methods: adapt, adopt, and create. We can use to might be if Quvae ask me to do again, maybe I will go for that one. Okay, create a cover letter. That cover letters included everything where your detail, what is your scope, what is your aim to do this study, and your detail context, and make sure you put your concern letter behind, and then select a sample, and then pilot the survey, and then administer the survey and analyze data. So as I told you earlier, like this is a step normally. Okay, so survey can be categorized as cross-sectional. That is the point in the time collects data at one, or longitudinal. That means collect data at more than one time to measure growth or challenges. So this one, for example, the first one, satisfaction of for the cross sectional, satisfaction of the people in shopping at KL can. But when it's come to the second one, the longitudinal, we can say satisfaction of the customer in service department in car purchases. We can do, because in 2020 the salesmen were different, 2022 the salesmen different, so we can collect data at more and then one time to see the changes in the satisfaction of the customers. So the service can be two types, but it's totally depends on us what kind of a questionnaire we want to use. Okay, conducting descriptive research. So it's require a collection of standardized quantitative information from all members of population or sampling. Okay, so it is a, what is questionnaire? It's a written collection of self-report question to be answered by selective group of research participants, that is samples. Okay, so constructing the questionnaire, as I told you, the question should be attractive, brief, and easy to respond. Don't you do a fancy questionnaires. Make sure, attractive is different, fancy is different. Fancy means you put lot of, flowery sentences, not like that. You have to put, as I told you, very short and sweet and easy to understand if that questionnaire can be answered by anyone. Okay, and then no item should be included that does not directly relate to the objective of the study. If you want to discuss about mathematics, make sure you discuss about mathematics. You ask the you ask the students regarding the use of computer ICT in mathematics. So make sure your concern will be use of ICTs, mathematics, and so on. And don't you put anything is not directly related like science, geography, history, and so on. Okay, so structured or close-ended should be used. So it's your decision. You want to use both also can. Structured or closed-ended also can. And common structured items used in questionnaire are scaled items, ranked items, and checklist. As you know, right? So like structured means like it can be 5 rated scales, 4 rated scales, Likert scale, and so on. And if it are unstructured items, format response have to complete freedom of response, but often are difficult to analyze and interpret it. Okay, when you give the open one, like unstructured item, okay, yeah, in the last of the question, stated your unsatisfactory in McD, in KFC, in whatever restaurant lah, they will write that unsatisfactory. If they did not write, it's easy to analyze. But if they write, it's very hard to analyze in SPSS. And we have to create another column and we have to create another section to analyze that part also. So for me, just make it one, it's enough. Okay, each question should focus on single concepts, clear wording, terms and meaning should be very defined, and questionnaire should begin with general, not threatening question. Sometimes I've been saw the questions is like threatening itself actually. So when it's come to the satisfactory questionnaires and some customer service questionnaires, yeah, I do see this kind of threatening, and don't do that kind of question and avoid leading question. So leading questions meanings it will lead your question or the understanding of the participant or the sampling to another dimension or another thoughts, and don't put double barrel. You like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Might be I like Coca-Cola, not Pepsi. Might I like Pepsi, not Coca-Cola. But in that question, I say I like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. You might like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So that is double barrel. So you cannot do like that. Make sure you avoid that kind of leading questions. Okay, so as I told you, the pilot test, so which is the previous one, the alpha cromba and so on. So the questionnaire should be tested by the respondent who are similar. That means, okay, you want to test your standard for students in that school. Make sure you find another class of standard 4 which are not involved in the real research and give them to test the questionnaire to see the is it that questionnaire is reliable and got measurable. And in case everything finish, and when we just can put in SPSS, the SPSS itself can be kick out unrelevant items or the items which is not so reliable. Okay, so this is very basic things. And cover letter, as I told you, make sure that every mail and email question must be accompanied by cover letter. Don't just send like that. Please answer this question. So people can ask, who are you? Why should I help you? What is the purpose of this questionnaire? So make sure that cover letter is brief, neat, and addressed to the specific individual if you send to someone. But if you want to send the Google form, make sure you created a group in a Telegram or WhatsApp or any social media or a broadcast. You let them know, then you send them. So it should be easy for them and you can get the data easier. Okay, so selecting participants, as I told you, must use the appropriate sample techniques. We must know, as a researcher, we must know what kind of sample we want to use, and we must ensure that identified participant should have the desired information and must be willing to share it. So this is more to like what to say like that purposive sampling. When we choose a person or expert to be a part of our quantitative research, but he don't want to share his idea. He don't want to. He's not willing to share away its data. That means it's not so perfect or it's not fit to be answered, and this will make us hard to finish our research. So selecting participants, selecting the sample, when it's come to certain sampling methods, you must be very careful. Okay, how you can distribute the questionnaires by email, mail, telephone, personal administration, interview. So we don't talk about interview, but nowadays a lot of researchers more prefer Google Forms, and still they are using like me, the old school boys. They still want to search for the respondents and give in hand, no issues. But when you using email or when you using the Google form, make sure you use the mail respondent table. So there is a mail respondent table where you must know if you distribute 400 emails, I mean 400 mails, the Google form, how much you get it back, and is it appropriate to your research. The table will lead you to there, so that must be concern also. Okay. Okay, so the tabulating questionnaire responses. Okay, this is the simplest way to present the result is to indicate the percentage of the respondent who selected each alternative for each items. Okay, so however, like analyzing the items cluster groups, item focus on the same issue is more useful, meaning and reliable. Not only that, the comparison can be investigated in the collected data by examining the response of different subgroup in the same. Is it male or female? So when you see the results, so it should be like this. So in the descriptive, you still can use percentage, frequency, mean, and so on. So just give a minute. Okay. So that's all from me actually. So this is the final slide as I see. Okay. So I hope you all understand what is quantitative, and thank you so much for everyone who stay for 1 hour, nearly 1 hour to finish this, to finish this section. So I hope everyone understand and can get some knowledge about the quantitative. So basically, it's very important to know your instrument, to know your sampling, to do your validity, to do your reliability, and then you must know how to analyze your data. So that's all from me for today, the quantitative. So is there any questions?
Now the session is open for Q&A. If there is any questions from the participant side, you may ask now. Is there any questions from the participant side? Please raise your hands.
Thank you. Thank you, doctor, for your materials. I would like to ask about the number of samples, percentage of the population. How many samples are considered valid, and is this formula applicable to all types of random sampling? Thank you.
Sorry, I mute my mic. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Diana Fitria. Okay, so as you can see, or as you can know, okay, the sampling there is mainly two types. That is a major sampling technique, that is probability sampling and non-probability sampling, as we know. But when it's come to sampling, you can use the like Cauchy and Morgan sampling methods or the power sampling methods to get your sampling from the population itself. So we can use that kind of tables, which is more now. So we can use that kind of sampling techniques, no issues. So for the probability sampling methods, that is simple random methods, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling are included in the probability sampling. While the non-probability sampling is convenience sampling, quota sampling, judgmental, like is purposive sampling, snowball sampling, like that. So we must know all kind of this sampling before we choose our samples from the population.
Any other questions from the participant side?
Yes, Miss Jennifer. Yeah. Please ask your question.
Um, Hello, good afternoon. Good evening from Philippines. I'm Dr. Jennifer Cabaron from the Philippines.
Yes.
I would like to ask, are we still going to conduct a pilot test even the service instrument is standardized?
Okay, what do you mean by standardized?
It's already there. The questionnaire, like for example, when I search an article, I found out that there is an already a questionnaire of that article. Then I will use the questionnaire without any modification. So that is a standardized questionnaire. That's a language we use in the Philippines, standardized questionnaire. No? So are we going
Okay.
still to conduct a pilot test?
Okay, so thank you for the question, Madam Jennifer. Okay, you see, when it's a standardized questionnaire, which have already conducted and have the pilot test results, it's good. But my question is, are you doing any modification, a big modification in that questionnaire, Madam Jennifer, Dr. Jennifer? Okay. In case
Okay, I'm
we
sorry because I sorry I that my answer is delayed because my phone is muted by the host. Okay. There was no modification of the instrument or the questionnaire. So my question is, are we still going to
okay,
conduct
no,
a pilot test?
no. Because if they already done the pilot test for the standardized and you don't want to change anything, but you just want to use it, and we no need to do the pilot test for the with the sample because it's already been done. But if in case we use that we adopt the instrument from any other researchers, and then we do the modification according to our research scope and to our research questionnaire, then I always ensure my students or my clients do the pilot test because they already changed the content of the questionnaire. But when it's standardized and already been used, for example, like a questionnaire from the Ministry of Health Education, and we want to use it for the our students, and we no need to do the pilot test because it's already standardized and it's already been pilot test by them.
Okay, thank you, sir. And then can I ask another follow-up question, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay. So assuming, sir, if there is a modification, how many percent the sample target population for pilot testing?
Okay, so when you see the what to say, like minimum sample as per Creswell tell is 30, is 30 because when we see
30%?
yes because not 30%, 30 people, or we also like when we see the excuse me, sorry, I'm so sorry. I mean some flu actually. Okay, when you see the citation of the Creswell, whatever research we are doing, we must align it with a citation because we just simply can't do a research. So whenever we want to do a research, we write something, make sure it's cited with someone is already done, and we will make sure our data or our the concept or our results is being backed up by others results. So for the Madam Jennifer, the Dr. Jennifer asked, is the what is the minimum people for the pilot study? For the pilot study, minimum is 30. Is 30 for one group. You can go for one group. Actually, you can do 12 also. You can do, but when you see the Creswell one, they said 30. So we just follow them. Can also.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Any other questions from the participant side? Is there any other questions from the participant side? You may raise your hands. I hope there is no more questions from the participant side. So let's wind up the session. Thank you, Doctor. That was a thought-provoking talk. Thank you for imparting your knowledge and remarks on the concepts. Thank you once again, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me back. So it's a pleasure of mine to be a part of Quvae and always been invited. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Important information to participants. Participants will receive your certificate and presentation document within 7 to 10 working days. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Have a good day. Bye.